just going to make sure that we are live properly. So give me a moment. Okay. If you can see me, say hello. If you are here live with me, and if you are on the replay, say hello as well. I'm just speaking to all of you beyond the timeline, right? Beyond time and space, isn't it? Hello Ashley. Hi Haley. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that means you can all see me. I tend to just play safe, so I tend to just make sure I check everything is actually up and running before I go ahead and say anything and get into the zone, because from experience I know that sometimes it screws up and then the whole video just tends to end up disappearing into the ether. So thank you, beautiful one, for joining me today. I am coming to you live from Malaysia. For some of you, you probably would know that I'm back here in this beautiful home country of mine for the month of August. So that's why the time difference is gonna be a little bit of an iffy issue, but I am so glad to be here with all of you beautiful ones. Hello, hello, wave, say hello if you're here. I can only see the numbers on my screen until you actually comment, so my apologies if I can't address you and you're thinking, why the hell is she not saying anything to me? Okay, and that is the reason why. All right, so beautiful divine one, today I'm going to get into a little storytelling mode, because I recently had a spiritual smackdown of my own, and it's really interesting, so I'm gonna get into that. And I also think that I look a little bit yellow in this screen. I'm just gonna go with it, I think it's hilarious how I look like I'm in some ancient like one of those old school pictures. So I'm just gonna go with it, what the hell, right? Like, whatever, I don't travel with my diva ring light, so let's go with it. All right, so as you all know, whenever I come back to Malaysia, maybe you don't know this, I'll just say it again. I come back to Malaysia, I love coming back here, because every time I come back, I'm gonna push my mic over. Every time I come back, does it keep cutting out? Okay. Is it the same for everyone else? I'm gonna just make sure I can see myself. So give me a moment. Give me a moment, and thank you so much for your patience. It's been raining here, so that's probably why it's been going a little bit haywire with the connection. So thank you for your patience. Let me just double check. And I'm just quiet because I just want to make sure I can see that my movement are okay. All right. Seems to be okay for now. Okay, so I have double recorded this on my Instagram, so just in case it doesn't work on Facebook, I will be able to upload it later on. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going here, only because I somehow see myself and it seems to be okay. Yeah. So Haley, just keep me posted if it's really bad. Let me know. Thank you for being here, by the way. It really is a precious moment to be sharing with all of you. So whenever, I'm just going to jump back into the story. Whenever I come back to Malaysia now, I am really, one of the things that I look forward to the most is to come into this place where I return and visit my tea brother, and he owns a beautiful tea space that sells only living tea. So these are tea that come from their spiritual and ancestral lands. He owns several of the tree plantations, and they are all based out in China. And all of his teas are from their own motherland, and that means a lot for somebody who connects with tea spirit in the way that I do in ceremony. Hi Latoya! So many divine sisters here with me today. I'm so grateful. So when I drink his tea, you know, it's always such joy to be with somebody who's literally, you know, living and breathing tea. And I also learned a lot from him, as well as his tea master, who is also the master of my tea teacher. So it's all so beautifully interconnected, and the way that I found them was actually through my tea teacher that I met in Hong Kong, through my tea sister at that time. And it's just mind-boggling just to think that this tea brother of mine, he actually lives in, well, his store is literally like 5 to 10 minutes in a car from where I lived for a long time, since I was a teenager, really, well, pre-puberty basically. And so this time whenever I go back, there are always beautiful transmissions and teachings. And you know, he's not the typical, you know, when you look on Instagram, it's like, oh my god, all of these beautiful teachers and priestesses and masters, and you know, all of these beautiful pictures that we automatically kind of relate to. But he's really not. He's got this amazing way of speaking where he's just like really straight to the point. He's like really, you know, he doesn't even have, like, he doesn't like being online. He's just, you know, he's just really present with his tea, and when he's serving tea, he's just there. You know, he doesn't really care about really all the fame and the glory and the online presence, that sort of thing, which is so refreshing. And so this time when I went back, like I said at the beginning, I had a spiritual smackdown, a huge one actually, which I wanted to come on here to share with all of you, because I think it's important, even for somebody who works in the spiritual world, who is a mentor, who is a teacher, who is you know, a healer, to really share the things that we go through in our lives to ascend. And when I say ascend, it really is just an ascended state of consciousness, because one of the things I love to talk about, and oh, by the way, if you're new to this, if you're new here in this space, I just want to introduce myself. Welcome. My name is Li Ying, and I am a sacred transformation mentor. I help creative feminine leaders to live on purpose in their own authentic power. So if you, whether you identify as a poet, artist, healer, light worker, witch, goddess, whatever it is, if you are creative, if you're feminine, if you want to activate your leadership qualities and really be fully aligned with your unstoppable vision and your birthright to have abundance and freedom in your life, then I'm your woman. And also, I am a ceremonial keeper of the way of tea, also known as Cha Dao. And that is what I'm going to be talking about today. And I think it's so important, because we all have that spiritual ego, and sometimes we don't even realize it, right? And it certainly was for me. When I went to meet my tea brother, I literally sat there. I walked in and I said to him, "Hey Henry, I really need to up-level my tea practice, so I want to get the Yixing teapot." They call it the Yixing teapot, which is really used for what we know as Gong Fu tea, and it is really a higher, well, we in the tea world, you would see this slowly after I unveiled the entire story. It's unveiled. It's you literally, hi Tabitha, welcome. Oh my gosh, so many of you. I'm so glad. You know, the past few lives, I literally had to talk to myself, which was so sad. But you know what? I'm so glad everyone is here joining me live. So thank you, Haley. Thank you for rejoining. So So yeah, I walked in. I said, "Look, I'm ready now. I'm ready to up level my skill set. I want to learn Kung Fu tea or Kung Fu cha, right?" And Kung Fu cha, basically, for the uninitiated, it's basically something that uses a smaller teapot and you serve in smaller cups, so that you take in the aroma, you take in the body of the tea, you take in the flavor, and a lot of people use that to really evaluate what is a good tea and what is a good skilled, um, a well practiced tea connoisseur. They do that a lot. Um, and for the longest time, I always felt like I'm not ready to do this because I always felt more um, connected with the mode of tea ceremony that I do. And that tea ceremony involves a lot of transcendental experiences and non-verbal transmissions. Obviously so, because it's been handed down from the Taoist sages and the Zen monks, and it uses a bowl and a side handle pot and sometimes even just a bowl. And everything about that tea ceremony, the idea behind it is not perfection. It's not about criticizing the tea, it's really about presence. It's about serving from the heart. It's really about giving everything you have into that bowl of tea in service, so that you bring your quietude and your presence, and that is the healing energy that you're serving to the person that you're serving to, your guests, right? So Kung Fu tea is very different and more widely practiced. You will see that in tea houses. You will see that being served, that people do that often. I certainly grew up with that as well. Like before I even got initiated into being a ceremonial keeper in this tradition, that was what I grew up with, and that was what I knew of Chinese tea, right? So to walk in the store and just tell him like, hey, I'm ready to learn this. I want to learn. I want to get a nice teapot. I want to be able to know how to make good tea in that teapot. And these are really beautiful. Yixing clay is very, very precious. It's the ore. It's like sand and clay that comes from beneath thousands and thousands of meters below sea at a very specific location. That's why they get that clay to make the tea. And the reason why it's so expensive is because that clay actually absorbs the aroma and the oil, the essential oil of the tea leaves that are going to be put in there. And so that's why it makes so much more of a pungent and aromatic tea in comparison to other kinds of clay. So anyway, got in there, spoke to him, and he basically said to me, well, what do you mean? You don't do Kung Fu cha? You don't do Kung Fu cha at all? And then I was like, no, I mean, I use the side handle teapot. I use meditation. I work with energy. I serve in a tea ceremony, but I don't serve Kung Fu cha. And he basically just smiled at me and he was like, well, do you serve with your heart when you're serving in tea ceremony with your side handle teapot? And I was like, of course I serve with my heart. I serve with my entire heart whenever I serve tea. That is the whole purpose. And one of the things I always remember that was being taught down, kind of carried down to us, is that never, ever, ever, ever lift your teapot or the kettle when your heart is not still. And that is how important it is when we are a ceremonial keeper, when we are a healer, when we are whatever we call ourselves, right? And it's important that we keep to that promise, at least that harmony is a cultivation, and that keeps me going in my own cultivation. And so I said to him, look, I serve with my heart, all my heart, absolutely. And so he replied, well then, you've always been serving Kung Fu cha then. You've always been serving Kung Fu tea. And I just sat there kind of like just speechless, because I was like, oh, okay, right. I'm starting to feel that there's a teaching coming through him to me. And he continued to say, well, you know, a lot of people start to segregate many things. It's like religion. It's like even in the spiritual community, you segregate tea into good tea and bad tea. This way of brewing tea, this tradition, this lineage, this background, this blood. Oh no, this is not right because you don't have this teapot. This is not correct because you serve the teapot this way, or you pour it this way, or that you have too many cups. That's not the lineage, the way we taught, and so on, and so forth. And while these things are important, the essence of the way of tea has been lost. The essence of the way of tea is truly love. Love. And I remember he said to me, the essence of Gong Fu Cha is getting as close as you can to nature. As close as you can to nature. And that brings me into remembrance that when I am as close as I can be to nature, I am as close as I can be to love. Because that is my kensho, that is my true essence, that is my true soulful self. We are all love at the very core of who we are. If it doesn't feel natural, that is not the truth of who we are. And he proceeded to say, you know, so he knew that I was coming in. So I'm back in Malaysia now, organizing a beautiful, simple, and intimate wedding luncheon. I got married last year during COVID lockdown, and we are putting together something for my Malaysian family, and we want to have a thank you gift for everyone with tea in it. And he knew that I came in for that, and he asked me, so what tea do you want? And I kind of just blurted it out. I said, well, something nice, but like maybe not too exquisite because they don't really drink tea, so they will know what's good tea. I literally said that. And mind you, it was really a time when I visited him, you know, just looking back right now, feeling a lot more centered in my own vortex of stillness. When I visited him, I literally came off 2 days of flying, feeling exceptionally jet lagged, and I hardly had any time to sit in ceremony or meditation because I was just meeting everyone and running to one errand and another, and so I was really tired, and I was operating at the level of my mind, really. But now, let's go back to the time when I said that. I really felt like it was an autopilot that was coming out of me. It was almost like a belief, a limiting belief that wasn't mine, that was just blurted out in that sense, you know. And when he heard me say that, again, Spirit spoke through him, right? He said, what do you mean they don't know how to drink tea? And I was like, well, you know, it's kind of like me. Like, I don't know how to drink the really expensive tea, so I try not to drink those tea because it will be lost on me. And he was like, well, do you know how to drink water? And I was like, yes. So how do you drink water? Guys, how do you drink water? Can you comment? Let me know. Type it in. How do you drink water? And I was there like, I felt like I was being tested. But he said it in a really good-natured way. And he just laughed, and when he saw my face, and he was just like, you lift the cup out, you put it to your lips, and you tilt it in, and you drink, and you swallow. That's how you drink water. So you know how to drink water, then you will know how to drink tea, because it's the same thing. And so I sat there and was thinking, wow, this is so massive. It was so big, because my spiritual ego was so full on. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough. They're not good enough because I'm not good enough. And maybe everyone should just drink shit tea because they don't know how to drink tea. And I should never really grow even bigger because I'm not ready. But actually, that is my mind constricting me, telling me that I'm not ready, which is so not true. Because here's the thing that he said to me that I truly felt was the truth, to the point where I felt tears coming down my eyes. He said, if you knew nature, even when you are not an expert in tea, and I gave you the most exquisite tea that has been grown on spiritual ancestral lands that came from 1,000-year-old trees, and they were fermented for many years, maybe from the 80s, right? Vintage. You would drink it and you would know it's fucking amazing tea. Here's why. Why? Because you know, you just know when it's close to nature. You remember because you are nature. Yes, I know, my love, but it really is never a time when we are fully ready. We have to step into that, and we have to stop seeing it as an elevation. It is an elevation, right? But I think what I mean is like the real, it's almost like an ego-based elevation that I was looking at, right, in that sense. And how I actually stepped into serving tea ceremony, it wasn't when I said, oh, I know tea and I'm gonna go into it because I know. I didn't know at all. I just knew it was naturally me. It was truly just returning home. That was it. And I followed that way, one step at a time. And that was how I continued to cut out the spiritual ego to the point where I could finally just listen. And even then, there are so many things in this spiritual world that the mind can hone in on and start to create scenarios and situations where we begin to think again with that patriarchal conditioning of competition, not good enough. And this is one of the things when I awakened to it, when I woke up to it, I really said to myself that no matter what, I will continue to purify and harmonize in this reverent ceremonial practice of mine that I was so grateful to be able to share and learn. Because it helps me to still the mind. It helps me to drop from the mind into my heart. It helps me to recognize when I am close to nature, when love is present. It is the same with everything in your life. It doesn't matter, because it's so important to mention that here, because I know I'm speaking to many of you beautiful creative souls. You want to do so many amazing things, right? And it's so important to really just understand that we are here to do it. We have to do it now, not waiting to be good enough, not waiting to be approved. I felt that, when I asked for the Yixing teapot for Gong Fu Cha, it was almost like if I did this, finally I would be approved of by this phantom tea community that I have in my mind, that I built up in my mind, because somehow or another, finally I'm actually doing the technique that most people know of, which is so insidious. It goes back to that sense of almost like people pleasing, or kind of like moving in this space where I am so much better now. because I have this certification that I learned this. So all in all, I came back into my heart, and that spiritual ego completely melted away. And I sat with my ceremonial space with even more reverence, because I realized that there's so much I can easily take for granted here. So easy in our lives, right? So easy. Everything we have in our lives, because we keep thinking we're not good enough, or we've been abandoned, or how everything is just not here yet, we forget to be present to the moment now, what we have now. And knowing how we manifest, like how we are cosmic beings, it is important for us to be present here, because this is the only thing that exists now. And to feel everything even before we see it is the key to unlocking your next level, to elevating, to really stepping in and stepping up. So I just wanted to share this story today because I wanted to keep it simple, because there are a lot of mind-blowing lessons here that I still am putting down in words, because it is truly such a precious gift, this practice. Today I was just really tapping into the liminal space, and I sat with T, and T always has a message. It always downloads insights, and it is really up to us to understand that the conscious mind is limited. We can only know so much. But when we move into an altered state of consciousness, which is what a ceremony and rituals can do for us, we begin to sense and feel, and the felt sensations are actually what gives us that ability to finally set ourselves free to live on purpose. Because now you're not attaching stories with your mind, right? Whether it's a Gong Fu teapot, or people not knowing whether they can drink tea, or they don't understand, they don't appreciate, these are all emotions that I had to move through, that I didn't even realize was in me for so long. And so I'm incredibly grateful for that, because tea brought me that again. Once again, it opened the gateway for me, and I was so happy and willing to step right through. Really, really deeply grateful to step right through. And I will continue to step right through over and over again, because it makes me so deeply expanded in every single way. And to embody the truth that I am a creator, creating this experience. So who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Same for you. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? Right? Do you want to continue sitting in that space where you're not ready? Or are you ready to just say, I'm gonna go because this is the way forward. I just know that sense deeply in my gut. And everything else that I don't know will be revealed eventually. It always will. So I hope this served you today. I really love sharing these stories, and if any of you found any value in them, just let me know. And if you are interested in working with me to understand the mystery of ceremony and how it can elevate you into a place where you're living on purpose in your own authentic power, cultivating this vortex of stillness in you, and it is so incredibly important, especially in the times that we live in now, then apply for a sacred transformation call and let's chat. I'd love to be there to be of service to you. Okay, my loves, so sending you all my love and big kisses. Coming soon to you is another beautiful tea ceremony, so stay tuned. Until then, apply for the call and let's chat. Let's bring you into the next level.